Momentum's building, can you feel it in the air? 2024 is coming, and the people know it's fair.
We gave Joe a chance, but his time is at an end. It's time to put a real leader back in charge again. Trump, he's gonna win it. No way that we're gonna let Joe Biden spin it. The country's a mess, that much is clear. The only solution is to get Trump back here.
The economy's dying, inflation's too high. We need someone to fight for the little guy. Trump's the man with the proven track record. Joe says a lot, but his results are checkers.
Sea to shine, see, the MAGA crowd will rise. We'll head to the polls, look Joe in the eyes,
and say your days in office are about to expire.
It's time for Trump to take us back to prosperity higher. Trump to take us back to prosperity higher. Trump, make back the Senate too, and put old Joe back out to pasture as his term is through. Trump 2024, the choice could not be clearer. With Trump back in charge, a brighter future is nearer. Trump, he's gonna win it. No way that we're gonna let Joe Biden spin it. Get ready for an electoral landslide. As the Trump train rolls in with patriots on each side, we'll take back the House, we'll take back the Senate too, and put old Joe back out to pasture as his term is through. Trump 2024, the choice could not be clearer. With Trump back in charge, a brighter future is nearer. Trump, he's gonna win it. No way that we're gonna let Joe Biden spin it. Get ready for an electoral landslide. As the Trump train rolls in with patriots on each side, we'll take back the House, we'll take back the Senate too, and put old Joe back out to pasture as his term is through. Trump 2024, the choice could not be clearer. With Trump back in charge, a brighter future is nearer.
Good evening, America. I'm Angie, and you're watching N3 Primetime. Tonight, we've got a jam-packed show that'll leave you reeling. Gary's bringing you the latest on Biden's NATO nightmare that's got Democrats running for the hills. Is this the end of his 2024 dreams? Plus a $90 million bombshell as top donors ditch Biden's super PAC. Trump's firing back, challenging Biden to a cognitive showdown and spilling the beans on some major party drama. But wait, there's more. We'll dive into the head-scratcher that is Biden leading in the polls, despite his fumblings. And in a twist no one saw coming, Alec Baldwin walks free. You won't believe what happened in the courtroom. Stick around for our fired-up comment section, where we hear from you, the real voice of America. And don't miss our eye-opening Looking at You segment, where we shine a spotlight on a mover and a shaker you need to know more about. Buckle up, N3 Primetime starts now.
Good evening, America. I'm Gary, and this is N3 Primetime. Tonight, we're diving into stories that matter. Stories that the mainstream media would rather sweep under the rug. We've got Biden stumbling through NATO, making a fool of himself and our country on the world stage. Democrats are jumping ship faster than rats on the Titanic. And their big money donors, they are freezing a cool $90 million. It's like watching a slow motion train wreck, folks. But it's not just about political theater. This is about the future of our nation. While Biden fumbles, Trump's out there challenging him to a cognitive test. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd pay good money to see that showdown. And then we've got the polls telling us that Biden's ahead? Really? It's like being told that Hindenburg's flight was going great right until it wasn't. Now, let me tell you something. This channel, much like our country, is under attack. For over a decade, we have been fighting to bring you the truth, but the powers that be, they don't like that. They're trying to silence us, just like they're trying to silence you. YouTube kicked us to the curb after over 10 years. Other platforms, they won't even give us the time of day. It's like we're the black sheep at the family reunion. Nobody wants us around because we're telling uncomfortable truths. But here's the thing, we're not backing down. Just like America doesn't back down. We need your help to keep fighting the good fight. Every donation, every prayer, every share, it all counts. Because this is not just about keeping a news channel alive. It's about keeping the spirit of America alive. So, what do you say, folks? Are you with us? The links are below. Let's show them what American resolve looks like. Now, Angie, what have you got for us tonight?
America, buckle up. We've got a jam-packed show tonight that'll make your head spin. Eminem's at it again, but this time Candace Owens is hitting back harder than ever. You won't believe what she's saying about the rapper's true identity. But it's not all Hollywood drama. We're shining a light on Sarcoma Awareness Month. It's time to wear yellow and make a difference in this fight against this rare cancer. And hold on to your hats, folks. Country star John Rich just dropped a new track that's got everyone talking. It's a spiritual wake-up call you can't afford to miss. In political news, the UFC's Dana White is stepping into the Republican ring. Find out why his support for Trump is a game changer for 2024. And just when you thought the Clintons were old news, a bombshell court ruling exposes a $6 million campaign violation. It's a shocking reminder of why we need to drain that swamp. These stories matter because they reveal the true state of our culture, our values, and our political system. Stay tuned. The truth starts here. Back to you, Gary, with our first special report of the night.
Brace yourselves, America. We are witnessing the political equivalent of nuclear fallout. President Biden's NATO press conference has left a radioactive cloud over the Democrat Party, gaffes, confusion, and a growing rebellion within his own ranks. We're talking a total meltdown. But wait until you see the explosive video clips that we've got. They're like watching ground zero of a campaign implosion. And stick around for my final thoughts that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about 2024. And as Biden's political career melts down, smart Americans are turning to gold, now past $2,400 an ounce. It's not that gold is getting expensive, the dollar is getting weaker than Biden's press conference performance. With countries eyeing alternatives to the petrodollar, your purchasing power could vanish quicker than the president's train of thought. Don't let your finances become a gaffe-ridden disaster. Call Global Gold Investments at 888-700-4148. Mention Next News for 5-star treatment from America's conservative precious metals dealer. Protect your wealth from political fallout. Get a free portfolio analysis and their 2024 Insure Your Money Guide. Call 888-700-4148. That's the number you see on the screen, or just tap the link down below, IRAGoldproof.com. Don't let your finances become Biden's next victim. Now, President Biden's NATO press conference wasn't just a disaster, it was political Chernobyl. Now let's dive into this radioactive mess. The New York Post didn't pull any punches. Their front page screamed, bumbling Biden gaffes his way through make-or-break Q&A. Folks, when even the mainstream media can't cover for you, you know you're in trouble. But don't take my word for it. Let's take a look at the meltdown in real time.
With that, I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here. I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway, I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the military, as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to over 1 billion people in the a market, not 1 billion, but a lot of people in the market. And so they were doing it. We're sitting around. This is where Kamala is so good as well. We're sitting around. More children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing?
You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that. Okay. Thank you.
This ends tonight's press conference. Thanks, everybody.
That's right. You heard it. Biden called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump. It's like he can't even keep his own administration straight anymore. Now here's where it gets nuclear. Biden actually left himself an exit strategy, saying he'd drop out if his team gave him polling data showing he can't win. Well, folks, that data might be coming sooner than he thinks. Roger Stone, the legendary Republican strategist, just dropped a bombshell. Watch.
My sources tell me, Alex, that yesterday Joe Biden's pollsters, he has 4, told him, based on their most recent polling, that he has an 85% probability of defeat. They also told him, among other things, that he is now trailing by 6 points in Pennsylvania. Now, what impact that will have remains to be seen. The biggest single bundler and fundraiser for Democrat and left causes, a fellow named Kramer in New York, has made it clear that he's not giving Joe money. The money has largely been cut off. You also have a situation in which I think Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries are increasingly nervous because the polling coming back is suddenly showing that states and districts that were heretofore thought to be safe are now suddenly competitive. Now, juxtapose that against the backdrop of Hunter Biden emerging as the gatekeeper for his father, Hunter Biden now emerging as the chief political strategist for his father. Jill Biden's position, I think, is pretty clear. You have to believe the other members of the Biden crime family fear prosecution. We know, we have bank records. This isn't conjecture or conspiracy theory. Sorry, Dan Goldman, these are what are called facts. We have bank records that show that members of the Biden crime family have taken at least $18 million from foreign entities during the time that Joe was vice president. This includes Russia, China, Ukraine, Romania, Syria, Mexico, and so on. Can you imagine if Don Trump Jr. And Eric Trump had taken money from any foreign entity? We've had yet another impeachment. I still think that it's a 50-50 proposition. I spoke to a former Democrat U.S. Senator yesterday who's a good friend who served with Biden the entire time he was in the Senate. He said you cannot underestimate his stubbornness, particularly when he's lucid. And he said at this juncture, it's 50-50. But he went on to say if he insists on running, we just see it as a cataclysmic disaster, that he would take down the entire party with him. So I still don't think we know. One thing we do know is that all the big guns in the establishment Democrat media cabal, the New York Times, the Atlantic, they're about the worst, CNN, and so on, making it absolutely clear that element of their coalition think it's time for Joe to go.
An 85% chance of defeat, trailing by 6 points in Pennsylvania. If that's not a clear sign he can't win, I don't know what is. This isn't just bad news. It's a 5-alarm fire in the White House. But wait, it gets worse. The Democrat establishment is in full panic mode. We've got reports that Obama and Pelosi are plotting to force Biden off the ticket. When Biden's own team was confronted about this, watch how they squirm.
There's been reporting that former Speaker Nancy Pelosi has also grave concerns about the Biden candidacy, some of which she expressed on earlier this week. Also, former President Obama, the same. What is the Biden's response to those two Democrats who, obviously carry a lot of weight and are well respected throughout the party?
Well, I think, again, President Biden's response to that is he's hitting the campaign trail today. Lemire, he's going to Detroit. He's going to talk to voters. We have nearly 3,000 people who will be at this event. He's going to take his message to the voters.
Notice how they dodge the question faster than Biden dodges coherent sentences? Even Biden's own people can't keep up the charade. Listen to this exchange on CNN.
There are some angry and stunned Democrats that are kind of blaming Biden's closest advisors for shielding him from the public and for the full extent of what he has been going through, which they call the president's decline. One of the top Democrats in close touch with Biden's inner circle advisors told CNN everyone who expresses any level of suspicion or contrary views, they call everyone and they beat the S out of them and say, stay on message. These are people who are trying to get a message to Joe Biden, and they feel like they're not being heard. What do you say to them?
Well, Sarah, you can put anonymous quotes up here day after day after day, and I can tell you that's not my experience.
It's not just anonymous, though, Senator. It's not just anonymous. People have come out full. I'll let you answer the question, but it isn't just anonymous. That was one person.
You didn't let me finish answering.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Sarah.
Go ahead.
No, you ask your questions.
No, I just said it's not just anonymous. We've seen 17 members of Congress come out publicly and say this, including a high-ranking member, the top member of the Intel committee coming out, Jim Himes. So what do you say to them? How do you convince them that Biden is the person that needs to be have all the horses behind him?
Okay, now that's two different issues. Let me speak to the first and then the second, okay? You put out an anonymous quote that someone claims that Biden's aides are shielding him and beating the stuffing out of them when they try to express something. I was personally on a call that lasted well over an hour last Saturday where our president kept asking for input, asking for, give it to me straight, tell us what you're hearing. And I told him directly, I read him two texts, one from a longtime friend of mine and his, who is urging him to get out of the race, and another from a close friend and supporter who's urging him to fight hard and stay in.
They're admitting it, folks. Biden's inner circle's in full damage control mode, but it gets even more absurd. Biden's team is trying to spin this disaster as a win. Watch.
Are you still riding with Biden this morning after the press conference?
Absolutely. Look, Sarah, that was an impressive hour-long press conference. I'll remind you, this week was NATO week. There were 31 other NATO nations whose heads of state were in Washington all week, and several other Indo-Pacific observer countries. So President Biden went from meeting to meeting, speech to speech in his official role as our president, while also making time to do campaign events.
Impressive? Are we watching the same press conference? The excuses are getting desperate. Ron Klain, Biden's former chief of staff, is blaming it all on a cold. Watch.
Look, I thought, as the president said, he had a bad night. His practices were better, and he was tired from all the back and forth travel around the world, and was suffering from a cold that really constrained his voice and constrained his ability to be forceful in the debate. And he was trying not to lose his voice, which was very scratchy and very impacted by his cold. But the president is absolutely sharp, fit, on top of his game.
Is that right? Even the liberal media can't ignore this anymore. Here's Rachel Maddow, of all people, calling out Biden's lack of strategy. Watch.
Is how he's going to turn those polls around, what he's going to change in the campaign, what is going to change so that the current status quo, which is him losing, is not going to be the outcome. And there was no articulation of that. The closest he got to that was saying the campaign hasn't started. A lot of times people don't really start paying attention till Labor Day. That's not a great argument that we're just going to keep coasting in this losing position and hope that things turn around on their own in September. It's just not a good argument for turning things around. And it's also not an acknowledgement that things do need to be turned around if he's going to win.
When you've lost Maddow, you have lost the left. It's not just the talking heads either. Biden's own campaign team is jumping ship. Watch.
Is that there are people who are around the president who are, it's not just lawmakers outside of the president's circle. It's not just Democrats out in states or party leaders. It is people who are actually working on the president's reelection effort who privately are saying after 2 weeks since the debate that this just isn't something that he can turn around, that their view is they're looking at numbers, they're looking at the money from donors that's dropping off, they're already reassessing to downgrade what their expectations are for bringing in money fundraising for this month. They're already cutting back on certain fundraisers in terms of the number of people who are going to be there and how much money they're going to raise. So they're looking at this whole set of data and saying that this is not a winnable situation and that this is not something that the president can turn around and believe that he needs to get out of the race. And they also believe that he needs to do so rather quickly, that it's not something that can continue to drag out. And I think when you're...
Now, the exodus is real, folks. Wolf Blitzer reports that 18 Democrat lawmakers are now calling for Biden to drop out. Watch.
President Biden speaks, more Democrats defect. There are now 18 lawmakers here in Washington calling for President Biden to abandon his reelection bid. The latest from Colorado Congresswoman Brittany Pedersen just minutes ago. 3 House Democrats made the call last night, right after President Biden stumbled in his NATO news conference. Here he confuses his own vice president with his greatest political foe.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
Unreal. This isn't just a crack in the dam, it is a full-blown breach. And in a final twist of irony, Biden himself gave us the best advice of the night. Watch.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's press conference. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Wow. Listen to Trump. For once, Joe, we agree. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Patriots, we are witnessing a political Chernobyl. Biden's presidency is melting down, contaminating everything it touches. The Democrat Party is in full meltdown, with radiation spreading to every corner of their campaign. But there is hope. Trump and his team are the radiological response unit that America needs right now. They are equipped to contain this disaster, decontaminate our government, and restore our nation's core. As the fallout settles, remember, only a seasoned expert can clean up this level of catastrophe. In 2024, we're not just voting for a president, we are choosing our nation's survival. The clock is ticking, America. Choose wisely. Up next, Angie has a story. Eminem attacking Candace Owens in his new diss track. We're going to cover her fiery response and the brewing feud.
Eminem's latest track, Lucifer, takes aim at conservative commentator Candace Owens. The rapper hurls insults, calling her a MAGA dirtbag and accusing her of forgetting her racial identity. But Candace isn't taking this lying down. On her show, she fired back hard. Eminem is obviously a gay man, Candace declared. It's sad he cleaned out his closet but never came out of it. She didn't stop there. He's recycling insults from Twitter trolls, Candace pointed out. This is pathetic. We should pray for him. Candace nailed it, calling Eminem an out-of-touch elitist pandering to the left. At 51, he's a grandfather now. Time to grow up, Marshall. Candace, keep speaking truth to power. We've got your back. Don't miss Gary's ebook, The Silent Coup, link in the bio. Major Democrat donors halt $90 million for Biden's PAC. Next, we dive into the fallout and the 2024 election impact.
Breaking news, Patriots. The Biden administration is crumbling before our eyes. We've got the receipts, and they spell disaster for Sleepy Joe. $90 million in donor cash gone, vanished. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. A full-blown Democrat rebellion is brewing, and we've got the inside scoop, so stick around, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the shocking truth about what's really happening behind closed doors in Washington. And trust me, you don't want to miss my final thought on this one. And folks, this Biden crisis is like watching a house of cards collapse in slow motion. And just like how smart investors are abandoning the sinking ship of Biden's campaign-savvy Americans are protecting their wealth from the coming economic storm. Gold has skyrocketed past $2,400 an ounce this year, and it's not because gold's getting pricey, it's because our dollar's getting weaker by the day. Don't let your hard-earned savings go down with Biden's presidency. Call America's leading precious metals experts at Global Gold Investments today. Mention Next News for VIP treatment. Dial that number on the screen, 888-700-4148, or visit the link down below, IRAGoldproof.com. Protect your future before it is too late. Now, the walls are closing in on the Biden administration, folks. We've got breaking news that's sending shockwaves, major shockwaves through Washington. Major Democrat donors are jumping ship, and they are taking their money with them. Watch.
Breaking this hour, New York Times reporting donors have told the largest pro-Biden super PAC that roughly $90 million in pledges are now frozen if Biden remains at the top of the ticket. But this may only be the beginning. Reports claim a coordinated Democratic rebellion is set to unfold during a brutal 48-hour stretch for Biden. An 18th Democrat lawmaker just called for Biden's exit 90 minutes ago. Now we're learning that President Biden privately met with White House Minority Leader Jeffries after his solo press conference last night, where he made several embarrassing mistakes on the world stage. Hello, everyone.
You heard that right. A staggering $90 million in pledged donations to Biden's super PAC have been frozen. Why? Because these donors want Biden out. New York Times is calling it like it is. It's not a hiccup, folks. It's a full-blown crisis for the Democrats, and it all stems from Biden's embarrassing debate performance last month. But here's where it gets even more interesting. We're hearing reports of a coordinated Democrat rebellion that is set to unfold in the next 48 hours. Already, 18 Democrat lawmakers have called for Biden to step down. The dominoes are falling, and they are falling fast. Now let's talk about why this is happening. Biden's recent NATO press conference was an absolute disaster. He couldn't even remember the name of his own vice president, and it's not just embarrassing, it's dangerous. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear from Vivek Ramaswamy, who laid it out plain and simple on Laura Ingram's show. Watch.
That's exactly right. And the reality is the people we elect to run the government in the United States anymore, Laura, they're not the ones who actually run the government. Kamala Harris's low IQ is the same as Joe Biden's cognitive difficulties. That's actually not a bug. It is a feature for the people who control them. That's what we ultimately need to dismantle in American politics. And I think Donald Trump winning this November is the last best chance we have in the foreseeable future to actually dismantle that managerial class in the deep state. That's what we're up against. And the figurehead they put up matters a lot less.
Ramaswamy has got it right. This isn't just about Biden or Harris. It's about the deep state pulling the strings, and he's spot on. Trump might be our last chance to dismantle this corrupt system. Now, you'd think the Democrats would be in panic mode, but no, they're just doubling down. Just listen to DNC Chair Jamie Harrison trying to spin Biden's cognitive decline as nitpicking. Watch.
Not on whether or not Joe Biden stumbles over things or has a stutter. I mean, hell, sometimes I can't even remember my kids' names because I'm so tired, right? So we got to stop. Let me just stop the nitpicking, and then focus on the work ahead. This guy
I don't disagree with you, but
he's done it in the past.
I get you on.
Wow, Can you believe this guy comparing forgetting your kid's name to forgetting who's next in line for the presidency? That's not just spin, that's a Category 5 hurricane of delusion. But while Democrats are busy spinning their wheels, Trump's throwing down the gauntlet. He's not just talking, he is proposing action. His latest Truth Social post is a direct challenge to Biden, and Trump is hitting the nail on the head here. It's not about pointing fingers, it's about proving that what you've got it takes to lead. He's calling for both of them to take cognitive tests, and he wants it to be standard practice for all presidential candidates. This isn't about partisan politics, folks. It's about making sure whoever is in the Oval Office is firing on all cylinders. And let's face it, after what we've seen lately, Biden's mental fitness is a big question mark. The next 48 hours are crucial. We could be witnessing the beginning of the end for the Biden presidency. The donors are fleeing, the party is in revolt, and Biden's cognitive decline is on full display for the world to see. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Now let's cut to the chase, folks. This isn't just bad news for Biden. It's a 5-alarm fire for his entire presidency. When your own party's donors are pulling $90 million off the table, that is not a hiccup. That is a death knell. Biden's cognitive decline isn't just embarrassing anymore. It's become a national security risk. The Democrats know it, the donors know it, and now the American people know it. It's not about politics. It's about the safety and future of our republic. If Biden won't step down voluntarily, his own party might force him out. The writing's on the wall clear as day. Biden's presidency is on life support, and the plug is about to be pulled. But there is hope on the horizon. Trump is ready to step in and right this sinking ship. November is our chance to put a real leader back in charge, someone who's got the mental sharpness and America First agenda that we desperately need. It's time to make America great again, for real this time. Now, July is Sarcoma Awareness Month. Are you wearing yellow today to support those battling sarcoma? Angie has more.
July is Sarcoma Awareness Month, and we need your help to fight this rare cancer. This Friday, July 12th, is Wear Yellow Day. Let's come together and show our support for those battling sarcoma. Wear your brightest yellow shirt, and don't forget to snap a photo. Share it online with Wear Yellow Day and hashtag Sarcoma Awareness Month. Every post helps spread awareness. Remember Avery, a brave young fighter who's been battling this rare cancer for over 3 years. His family started the Rhabdoblast Project to improve research and treatment options. Sarcoma research is severely underfunded. We can change that. Visit the link in our bio to donate to Avery's project. Every dollar counts in this fight. Together, we can make a difference. Let's turn social media yellow this Friday. Don't miss Gary's ebook, The Silent Coup, link in the bio. Coming up, Trump unloads on Biden's mental fitness and potential VP picks. Stay tuned for Trump's explosive insights on Biden and Obama.
Buckle up, Patriots. President Trump just dropped explosive answers to 8 burning questions on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. From Biden's press conference fiasco to a potential live cognitive showdown, Trump holds nothing back. He even teases his VP pick with an apprentice-style twist. But that's not all. We've got the jaw-dropping video clips to prove it, and you won't believe what he says about Obama and Biden's relationship. Stay tuned for my final thought. It will shake you to your core. Now, folks, speaking of burning questions, are you tired of your bank account going up in flames? Well, just like Clay and Buck get the answers we're all dying to hear, I've got a solution you've been asking for. It's called Easy Summer Cool, and it's hotter than Trump's latest revelations. This magical device is like having your own personal fact checker for your energy bills. It keeps you cool without burning through your savings, and trust me, the cost savings are more impressive than Trump's golf score. Don't let greedy power companies leave you sweating. Visit EasySummerCool.com and the link in the description for up to 60% off and feel the relief faster than Biden can forget a name. Now, welcome to the Next News Network. I'm Gary Franchi, and we are diving into the explosive interview former President Donald Trump gave on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. Trump answered 8 burning questions every American is dying to know, so let's break it all down. First up, Buck asked Trump about his takeaway from Biden's recent press conference, and he didn't hold back. Watch.
Well, it's not the end for him because when you control the delegates, it's never the end. I mean, there's nothing anybody can do. So as long as he wants to continue doing this, he's going to be able to do that. It's very hard to do anything else. But I thought the worst part of the press conference was the moment during the day when he introduced Zelensky, and he introduced him as Vladimir Putin. That was not good. That was unpardonable. You can't do that. You know, there are things you can do and things you can't do. That was a bad one. So he introduced him as Putin, and then I guess somebody started screaming at him, and he corrected as much as you can. You know, that doesn't get corrected very easily. So he went in there with the yips. I think he went into the press conference with the yips because, frankly, if he were Winston Churchill, who was not bad at press conferences, by the way, if he were Winston Churchill, his press conference wasn't going to work out too well because of what happened previous.
As you can see, Trump zeroed in on Biden's gaffe, calling the introduction of Zelensky and as Putin unpardonable. He noted that Biden went to the press conference with the yips, setting the stage for a shaky performance. The second burning question came from Clay, who asked if Biden deserves another debate with Trump. The former president's response was eye-opening. Watch.
Well, remember, he offered to do the debate, but they took everything that they wanted. They had CNN,
That's right.
They had the anchors that they wanted. They had every single element of the debate that they wanted. They even wanted it sitting down. That was the only thing I said, look, let's stand up for a little while. That would look terrible. So although debates have been done sitting down and probably successfully, but I thought standing up was a better look. The one thing he wanted was the lectern. He wanted the one on the left. And so he got that, and I got something that I wanted, which was to go last. But it was a very interesting evening. When I walked in, I noticed he was quite pale and didn't really look at him very much until he started gaffing. And he was doing some he was saying some bad things, meaning like words didn't belong in the right place. Words were going into the wrong place. Lots of words, but they were not being properly placed. And that was the only time I really looked over at him. But I thought it was, you know, look, I've been given credit for a great debate. I don't know what happened to him. He didn't do too well, and that was the beginning of a long period of time. You know, he's had numerous chances to make up for it. They've given him many chances to make up for it. And, you know, I wouldn't, it was certainly not like the debate. I don't think he's had any moment. You could tell me better than I would know, but I would say that they haven't been stellar. These makeups last night was not a stellar performance. Again, the gaffe he made earlier on was bad, but last night was not stellar. He called me his vice president, and he didn't do it sarcastically. By the way, if he did it sarcastically, it would have been great, but it wasn't done sarcastically. So he called me, and he made quite a few other mistakes, but it wasn't like a total disaster. The debate was a disaster for him. There's no question about it. I assume he looks forward to a second debate. We're supposed to be doing a second debate in September. Oh, do the television networks look forward to that one.
Trump reminisced about their previous debate, noting Biden's pale appearance and verbal stumbles. He even suggested that Biden might look forward to a second debate in September. But here's where things get really interesting. Trump proposed a groundbreaking challenge. Watch.
I would do whatever they want. I'd do the test. I'd do mental acuity tests with him. I would do whatever would be appropriate. But they have actually tests. They have scanning tests, lots of different tests. And I actually feel that anybody running from, not age-wise, I mean, I deal with people that are much older than Biden. They're 100%. You know, Biden is unusual in a way, but I've spoken to people much older than him, and they're 100%.
That's right, folks. Trump suggested they both take a cognitive test together live on television. He's willing to do whatever would be appropriate, including mental acuity tests and scanning tests. This could be a game changer in the 2024 race. Now, moving on to the fourth burning question, Buck asked if Biden is the opponent Trump wants to face, and his answer might surprise you. Watch.
Well, there was reporting in a rag called The Atlantic, I think they call it, and it's not a particularly good reporter, not a particularly good magazine, and there was some reporting there that I really wanted him. I assumed it was going to be him. Who would assume differently? You know, he had the nomination, right? So what am I going to assume? It's going to be somebody else?
Yeah.
I think that in many ways she may be easier than him, and perhaps I'm wrong, but I've been pretty good at this stuff over the years. I think in many ways she may be easier than Biden, but we don't think too much in terms of anyone else until he gets out. If he gets out, I don't know that he's going to get out. He's, he's proud. I don't know if he should be proud because he's destroyed our country, frankly. He's been the worst president in the history of our country.
Trump admitted that in many ways a different candidate might be easier to beat than Biden, but he's not counting his chickens before they hatch, focusing on Biden until there's a change. Now let's talk about the Democrat Party's internal drama. Clay asked if Obama is trying to push Biden out. Trump's insider perspective is shocking. Watch.
Well, I thought George Clooney was very disloyal because whether you like Biden or not, he's been nice to Clooney. I thought it was very disloyal, backstabber, third-rate movie actor. He was a television actor who never made really a good movie, and so he's sort of third-rate. He goes as a movie actor. Clark Gable, he's not, and but I thought it was a great act of disloyalty. And Obama hates Biden, and Biden hates Obama. We know that because that's been for a long time. You guys remember your perfect age for it. But Hillary, Obama wanted Hillary, not Biden. And Biden never forgot that. They hate each other. You remember when I said that Bush and Marco had a lot of problems together. And they said, no, we get along. I said, no, you don't get along. And 2 debates in, and by the way, Marco is doing very well, I will tell you. But 2 debates in, they started really going at it. I said, I told you. And if you remember the famous debates, we had those great debates, the Republican debates, actually, among the greatest ever. But I said, I told you when they started going at it. Well, these two hate each other. There's no question about that.
So according to Trump, Obama and Biden hate each other, stemming from Obama's preference for Hillary Clinton in previous elections. He even called out George Clooney for being disloyal to Biden. And the 6th burning question came from Buck, addressing the legal battles that Trump has faced. Does he believe Americans have rejected these attacks? Watch.
I think it has brought people to my side. I'm shocked at it because it's so dirty and so vicious. And it's used in other third world countries. We're sort of a third world country, too, by the way, because of our voting and our voting procedures and all. I had dinner last night at Mar-a-Lago with the head of Hungary, Viktor Orban, and very strong guy. He was, we had an amazing dinner, and we talked about the voting. And I said, what's the difference? Well, our procedures are much more secure than yours. He just said that. Just out of the blue. He said, our procedures are much more strict than yours. They don't do mail-in voting. They don't do the kind of things that we do. But they have real voting. In other words, you go and you get checked and you have identification. And we have voting. And so Victor would say, Victor's a strong guy, a great leader of that country. It's a country that's doing very well. They don't have crime. They don't have, much crime, very little. And he just said, our voting's so different than yours. Ours is much more secure. And I wasn't looking for that answer. That's just an answer. And I had to smile to myself. And he's right. Many countries, any legitimate country that has legitimate voting, it has to be more secure than ours. When you have mail-in voting and all the crazy things that we have, there's no security there, very little. But we're like a third world country in so many ways. And when Biden did the weaponization of the Justice Department and DAs and attorney generals, And as you know, he sent people to those agencies to work there to get me. And when he did that, I think the people really rejected it. And I think probably it has made me more popular, yeah.
Trump feels the legal challenges have actually brought more people to his side. He compared the U.S. voting system to those of other countries, even sharing an anecdote about his dinner with Viktor Orban of Hungary. Now, the question on everyone's mind that Clay didn't hesitate to ask, who will be Trump's VP pick? Watch.
I'd love to do it during the convention. You know, the Republican convention's a big deal. And in the old days, they used to do it that way. Now technology makes it more difficult. I say, no, it's supposed to make it easier. It makes it actually more difficult, if you can believe it. But I'd love to do it during the convention, which would be, you know, or just slightly before the convention, like Monday. Love to do it on Tuesday or Wednesday, actually. But for a lot of complex reasons that you people understand, you pretty much don't do that. And I have some really, really good candidates, and, you know, maybe leaning one way, and that changes sometimes. You know, all of a sudden you see something that you like or you don't like, and you lean a little bit differently. But we have a very good bench. We have a very good bench.
How would you announce it? Do you call up everybody? Like, how many finalists would you say you have right now? And is it like a job offer? Do you call them up? Do you bring them in person? Have you thought about how you would convey that offer?
It's like a highly sophisticated version of The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Okay, if you think about it. And they're great people. They're really good. I got to know them very well. I'd say 4 people, 4 or 5 people, but I got to know them very well. Some dropped out over the course of, they didn't drop, there were reasons why they wouldn't have done as well.
So it's still open, though, sir. You're telling us that it's not necessarily a done deal in your mind. Is that right? You're still thinking it over.
I'm going into great detail. But ultimately, it's more of an instinct. You know, you develop an instinct, but I like to know all the facts before the instinct kicks in. The people are fantastic. Like, I watched Tim Scott on television yesterday. He was fierce and great. He was great. I watched Marco over the weekend on television. He was incredible. JD's been great. You have a man named Burgum, who's a fantastic governor in North Dakota. And, it's a state that's very, very prosperous, very successful. And he's done a good job there. You have some terrific people.
Trump teased the announcement comparing the selection process to a highly sophisticated version of The Apprentice. He mentioned several potential candidates, including Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance as well, keeping us all on the edge of our seats. And finally, Clay addressed the golf challenge that Trump issued to Biden. Watch.
So without bragging, I'm a very good golfer. I've won club championships, many, many, many club championships. And I win them all the time. I still win them. I play just as good now as I did 20 years ago. That's a good sign. That's a good physical and cognitive test, because golf is mental also, right? But I've won many club championships, and he cannot win a club championship, nor can he break 100. There's no way he breaks 100. I've seen his swing. I've never seen him play, but I've seen his swing, and I've spoken to people that are near to him, and he's a terrible golfer. But he's all talk. You have to understand. He is, when pilots go to the White House, he says, oh, I used to fly planes. When truckers go to the White House, he said, oh, I drove a truck. Everything that anybody goes there. Well, he made the challenge to the wrong guy in golf. I mean, I've offered him, I give him 20 strokes, 10 aside, I said, and I'll give $1 million to his charity. But they turned me down. They said no. Now, if he was a 6 handicap, which he's not, he says 6.2 because he wants to be nice and accurate. I don't believe he could break 150. I've watched his swing. I don't believe. And I break 70 a lot, but I shoot in the low 70s and mid 70s, and that's what you have to do. When you win club championships, you're playing against scratch golfers. And I often beat them. I mean, this year I won 3, and I don't get to play very much relative to a lot of these guys. They live on the golf course, So, he makes a challenge. He's all talk and no action. A nasty guy. And remember, he weaponized government against me. And that's a very bad precedent to set. Very, very bad. Very dangerous.
Trump confidently stated that Biden couldn't break 100 on a golf course while boasting about his own golfing prowess. He even offered Biden a 20-stroke handicap and $1 million charity donation, which Biden's team reportedly turned down. These revelations from Trump stand in stark contrast to Biden's recent radio interview fiasco. Watch.
Were those questions given to you by the White House, or did you have, or the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
The questions were sent to me for approval. I approved them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Okay. And the reason I ask is not a criticism of either view. It's just that if the White House is trying now to prove the vim, vigor, acuity of the president, I don't know how they do that by sending questions first before the interview so that the president knows what's coming.
As you can see, WURD Philadelphia radio host Andrea Lawful Sanders admitted on CNN she received pre-approved questions for her Biden interview. This controlled environment hardly showcases presidential acuity. In the aftermath, WURD fired Sanders for lack of independence, as reported by the New York Post. It's a far cry from the hard-hitting, spontaneous questions Trump fielded on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. From cognitive tests to VP picks, from legal battles to golf challenges, Trump's unscripted responses gave us some real insight into the 2024 landscape. Will Biden ever face such unfiltered questioning? Can the Democrat Party survive its internal conflicts? And who will stand beside Trump as VP? Stay tuned to the Next News Network for the latest on this developing story. And if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Trump's performance on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show was a masterclass in off-the-cuff political discourse, unlike Biden's scripted radio appearance after that disastrous debate where pre-approved questions led to a host getting fired. Trump tackled every curveball with ease. The stark contrast highlights the gulf in mental acuity and political savvy between the two 2024 contenders. Trump's ability to field tough questions on the fly, from cognitive tests to VP picks, showcases the kind of quick thinking and transparency Americans crave in a leader. As we barrel towards November, this interview serves as a beacon of hope for those yearning to return to the straight-talking leadership of Donald Trump. The path to 2024 is long, but in this exchange, if it is any indicator, we are all in for one hell of a ride. Stay vigilant, Patriots. Up next, Angie has a story. John Rich dropping Revelation, a powerful track confronting good versus evil. Stay tuned for the impact of this message.
Listen up, Patriots. Country star John Rich just dropped a bombshell track called Revelation. This isn't your average country song. Rich is taking on the spiritual battle of good versus evil head on. Written in under an hour, Revelation packs a punch with its no-holds-barred lyrics about the return of Jesus Christ. The video features conservative actor Nick Searcy in a showdown of biblical proportions. Rich says this song is meant to strengthen believers and put the fear of God in the wicked. He's not pulling any punches, calling out the real war between good and evil. While the left pushes their agenda, Rich is out there spreading the truth. He's on tour with Big and Rich, celebrating 20 years of real country music. Don't miss this powerful wake-up call, America. The battle's just beginning. Don't miss Gary's ebook, The Silent Coup, link in the bio. Despite Biden's recent blunders, 538 poll shows him leading Trump. Next, we analyze this political shocker.
Tonight, a political earthquake rocks Washington. 538's latest poll shows Biden leading Trump. But how can this be? We've got the inside scoop on debate disasters, NATO nightmares, and campaign chaos. You'll see shocking video evidence of Biden's gaffes that'll make your jaw drop. Plus, we've uncovered some juicy D.C. gossip that could change everything. Stick around for my final thought. It is a bombshell that you won't see coming. This special report exposes the truth behind the numbers. You won't believe what we found. Before we dive into this political bombshell, let's talk about another crisis hitting Americans hard. I'm talking about skyrocketing energy bills. Just like Biden's poll numbers defying logic, these power costs are through the roof. But here is a secret the utility companies don't want you to know. There is a device that can slash your energy bills and stick it to the greedy power companies. It's like having a debate moderator for your home's electricity use. Here it is right here. If you want to lower your bills up to 90%, head to don'twastepower.com for a 60-day risk-free trial, 65% off and free shipping. Don't wait. Power up your savings today. Now, folks, we are diving into a political twilight zone tonight. 538 just dropped a bombshell poll today showing Biden leading Trump. Yes, you heard that right. Biden leading Trump. Look at this picture on the screen. Okay? We're talking about the same Joe Biden who fumbled through a debate 2 weeks ago and just yesterday left world leaders scratching their heads at the NATO summit. So how is this possible? Well, let's break it all down. Let's rewind to yesterday's NATO summit. Who can forget this jaw-dropping moment?
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. We're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
Unbelievable. Did you catch that? Biden called Ukrainian President Zelensky President Putin. This is not just a slip of the tongue. It is a full-on verbal train wreck. And it got worse at last night's NATO press conference. Biden admitted to using pre-selected list of reporters. Watch.
That, I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here.
So much for a free press, but wait, there's more. In his very first response, this happened.
What concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
You heard that right. He called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump. Even his own team could not hide their dismay. Watch.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is...
Look at those faces. That is not the look of a confident administration. Now let's go back 2 weeks to the disastrous debate. The mainstream media, usually Biden's cheerleaders, they could not ignore it. Here's John King on CNN. Watch.
Right now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party. It started minutes into the debate, and it continues right now. It involves party strategists, it involves elected officials, it involves fundraisers. And they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was dismal, which they think will hurt other people down the party in the ticket, and they're having conversations about what they should do about it. Some of those conversations include, should we go to the White House and ask the president to step aside? Other of the conversations are about, should prominent Democrats go public with that call? Because they feel this debate was so terrible. They do say, in moments in the debate later, the president got better and got his footing, but then at the end, even his closing statement was a little halting. The contrast between the two candidates.
Deep, wide, and very aggressive panic in the Democrat Party. These aren't my words, folks. That's CNN talking. And Chris Wallace didn't hold back either. Watch.
This has been, quite frankly, a car accident in slow motion that we've seen over and building and questioning it. And, you know, as has been pointed out, Joe Biden sought this debate at this remarkably early time because he knew he was losing and he needed to change the narrative. Yep. And he did change the narrative. He sunk his campaign tonight.
He sunk his campaign. A car accident in slow motion. Again, not my words. Now contrast that with Trump's debate performance. Here he is explaining why he's running. Watch.
I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
Clear, concise, in hitting Biden where it hurts. But the debate's most telling moment came when Biden struggled to form a coherent sentence. Watch.
I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame what's happened to our...
Perfect response. And he's right. Yes, he did beat Medicare to death. He beat it to death. Ouch. And just today in Michigan, Biden was at it again. Watch.
And so I decided I wasn't going to get engaged in public. I wasn't going to run again. I had been vice president. I was a professor, a full professor at the University of Pennsylvania at the time. And what happened was that I was going to stay out of it. But then what happened was, remember down in Charlottesville, Virginia, when those folks came out of the woods carrying torches and Nazi banners and literally singing the same Nazi, anyway, same song sung in Germany in the 30s. And a young woman was killed who was a bystander. And that young woman I talked to the mother. And the press contacted Trump and asked him, they said, well, what do you think? He said, there were very good people on both sides. Very good people. And honest to God, that's when I decided to run. That's when I decided to run.
Rambling about being a full professor at Penn, a total lie, and rehashing debunked hoaxes. Now let's talk about crowds. According to MLive, Biden's struggling to fill small venues in key swing states. And Laura Loomer on X revealed this shocking detail: a 600-person capacity. Pathetic. Now feast your eyes on this recent Trump rally. Thousands upon thousands of energized supporters. So how is Biden still leading in today's 538 poll? They claim it's non-polling factors, but we're not buying it. Even Democrats are panicking. Now, Meghan McCain, no friend of Trump, just spilled some juicy DC gossip on her podcast. Listen to this.
Okay, the gossip I've heard is that big donors are really pissed and that they're going to still give tiny bits of money, but not big money, and that actually could make a difference for the Biden campaign. I also heard that even if people are going on TV, members of Congress, senators saying it's all fine, there's nothing to see here, that behind the scenes they're still panicked, that they're not stupid. They see what's going to happen. And then I also heard that Hunter and Jill, and this isn't a direct quote, but it's like, I'm paraphrasing, that they would literally rather let the White House be burned to the ground than leave. That there's just no scenario on the planet, White House being burned to the ground, they'd watch America burn before stepping down.
Unbelievable. Did you catch that? Big donors pulling out, behind the scenes panic, and the Bidens willing to watch America burn before stepping down. It's shocking stuff, folks. It's not just gossip. Look at this headline from Fox. It says it all. House Democrats suggest Biden should resign, says presidency must come to an end. Democrat Congresswoman calling for Biden to resign. The cracks are showing, folks. So while 538 clings to their numbers and their beloved non-polling factors, the rest of us are living in reality. Reality where debate performances matter, where press conferences have consequences, and where the enthusiasm of the American people speaks volumes. But let's not forget the bombshell that dropped on July 2nd. A leaked internal poll from DMC's own contractor, Open Labs, paints a very different picture. What you see on the screen there, that's right. You're seeing it correctly. A sea of red with just a few blue holdouts. The map shows Republicans dominating with a whopping 358 electoral votes to the Democrats' measly 180. We're talking about a potential landslide here, folks. States that Biden won in 2020, or supposedly won, like Arizona and Georgia and even Michigan, are flipping red. It is a political earthquake. But here's the moment that truly defines everything. At the end of his first press conference since the debate disaster, Biden let slip the deciding factor that would make or break his decision to stay in the race. Listen to this.
You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that. Okay. Thanks.
This says.
So did you catch that? When asked if he'd step aside if polls show Kamala Harris faring better against Trump, Biden said no, unless they came back and said there's no way you can win. And then in that creepy whisper we've all come to know all too well, he added, no one's saying that. No poll says that. Well, Mr. President, it seems like Open Labs might be saying exactly that. So is this 538 poll all Joe needs to delude himself into thinking he can win? We can only hope so, because that Open Labs poll indicates a brutal landslide coming his way. The question is, will he face reality or keep sleepwalking towards a November nightmare? If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Folks, we are living in a political twilight zone. On one side, we have 538's rosy picture for Biden. On the other, leaked DNC polls showing a potential red tsunami. Biden's gaffes are piling up. His crowds are shrinking. And even his own party is calling for his resignation. Yet he clings to power, whispering about non-existent poll numbers. So the bombshell is this. The stark contrast between public polls and private data reveals a Democrat Party in crisis. They're caught between propping up a failing president and facing the reality of a potential landslide loss. We're witnessing the collision of political fantasy and hard reality. The coming months will determine whether the Democrats will face facts or continue this charade. The American people deserve the truth, not poll-driven illusions. Next up, Angie's got some great news. Dana White to introduce Trump at the RNC, so get ready for a powerful moment as they shake up Milwaukee.
Buckle up. The Republican National Convention is about to get a knockout punch. Dana White, the UFC's no-nonsense CEO, is set to introduce Donald Trump at next week's showdown in Milwaukee. This isn't White's first rodeo. He's been in Trump's corner since 2001 when nobody else would touch the UFC. Talk about loyalty. Remember when some spineless sponsor tried to make Dana ditch Trump? White told him where to shove it. That's the kind of backbone we need in this country. Meanwhile, sleepy Joe Biden's fumbling through debates like a lost puppy. Trump's poll numbers are soaring faster than a fighter's fist. Get ready for fireworks, patriots. With Dana White in his corner, Trump's about to deliver a political TKO that'll leave the left seeing stars. Don't miss Gary's ebook, The Silent Coup. Link in the bio. Coming up, Alec Baldwin's criminal case dismissed, leaving him sobbing in court. Next, we explore the fallout and implications.
In a courtroom bombshell that has left America stunned, Alec Baldwin's fate took a jaw-dropping turn. The Hollywood elite and vocal Trump critic faced what seemed like a certain conviction, but then chaos erupted. What happened next sent shockwaves through the justice system, leaving Baldwin in tears and prosecutors scrambling. You won't believe your eyes when you see the moment it all came crashing down. Stay tuned for the explosive footage and our final thought on why this matters to every American, so you can't afford to miss this. And while America, their eyes are glued to Baldwin's courtroom drama, a far more serious crisis looms. Pentagon officials are warning of a final famine that could make today's headlines seem trivial. Global instability is pushing us towards a food shortage, dark age, that could leave millions desperate. But there is hope. Our sponsor, RationReady.com, has a crucial video you need to watch now. It reveals how to survive this impending disaster with step-by-step instructions. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit RationReady.com. It's linked in the description. Watch it immediately. Their life-saving video before it is taken down. Secure your family's future today with a 30-day guarantee. Now, in a shocking turn of events, Alec Baldwin's criminal case has been dismissed, leaving many Trump supporters feeling that justice has slipped through their fingers. The actor, notorious for his relentless attacks on the former president, was facing up to 18 months behind bars for the tragic shooting on the set of Rust. But today, he walked out of that Santa Fe courtroom a free man, not because of Hollywood privilege, but due to a series of critical errors by the prosecution. The dismissal came after undisclosed evidence surfaced, exposing significant missteps in the handling of the case. Special Prosecutor Erlindo Ocampo Johnson resigned during the hearing, unable to defend the mishandling of crucial evidence. But it was Judge Mary Marlowe Sommer who delivered the final verdict. Judge Sommer's words struck like a misfire on a film set. Her ruling exposed how the case against Baldwin had been loaded with blanks from the start, stunning the courtroom like an unexpected prop gun discharge. Watch.
The sanction of dismissal is the only warranted remedy. The jury has been sworn, jeopardy has attached, and a mistrial would not be based upon manifest necessity. Further, the sanction of dismissal is warranted in this case. The state has repeatedly made representations to defense and to the court that they were compliant with all their discovery obligations. Despite their repeated representations, they have continued to fail to disclose critical evidence to the defendant. Brady and Harper are satisfied. Dismissal with prejudice is warranted. Court also has power, inherent power. Per State v. Lemire, where discovery violations inject needless delay into the proceedings, courts may impose meaningful sanctions to effectuate their inherent power and promote efficient judicial administration. The state's discovery violation has injected a needless, incurable delay into the instant jury trial. Dismissal with prejudice is warranted to ensure the integrity of the judicial system and the efficient administration of justice. Your motion to dismiss with prejudice is granted. Now, with respect to the jury, I don't imagine you all want to return on Monday. I will take care of the jury.
Thank you.
We are in recess.
Wow. As you heard, the prosecution's case misfired like a faulty prop gun. The late evidence reveal was the fatal blank in their legal chamber. With those words, Baldwin's charges dissolved, leaving him to walk off the set a free man. Now, let's be clear. This dismissal isn't about Baldwin's innocence or guilt in the Rust shooting. It's about the prosecution's failure to handle evidence properly and to disclose it to the defense. But for many, especially Trump supporters, this legal technicality doesn't erase the bitter taste left by Baldwin's freedom. You see, This is the same Alec Baldwin who has made a career out of mocking and vilifying President Trump. His social media accounts are filled with scathing posts, dripping with contempt and disdain for the former president. And who can forget those SNL skits? Not just comedic jabs, but harsh caricatures meant to demean and ridicule Trump at every turn. Baldwin's unfiltered vitriol and aggressive rhetoric have polarized audiences for years. His actions have gone beyond mere satire, crossing into a realm of persistent hostility that has left many questioning his motivations and the true nature of his grievances against Trump. So while justice has technically been served in that courtroom today, Baldwin's freedom leaves a bitter taste for those who hope to see him face consequences, not just for the tragedy on the Rust set, but for years of venomous behavior towards Trump. This case has exposed the complexities of our legal system. It's shown us that even when emotions run high and public opinion is divided, the letter of the law must be followed. And sometimes that means outcomes that don't sit well with everyone. But mark my words, folks, this is not the end of the story. Baldwin may have avoided legal consequences today, but the court of public opinion is still in session. And for Trump supporters and others who've been on the receiving end of Baldwin's caustic commentary, this dismissal feels less like justice and more like a technicality that allowed a vocal Trump critic to walk free. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. In the end, Baldwin's case discharged like a prop gun loaded with blanks, all smoke and no substance. While the courtroom may have followed the letter of the law, for many, especially Trump supporters, this legal misfire leaves a bitter aftertaste. Baldwin, who spent years taking pot shots at Trump, walks away unscathed due to a mishandled chain of evidence. But remember, folks, sometimes the final act comes after the credits roll. True justice, like a well-aimed shot, may yet find its mark. While the sheriff's department fumbled their cues, the ultimate director may have a different finale in mind. In this cosmic production, God always gets the last shot. Up next, Angie has some interesting news about Hillary Clinton's campaign caught violating federal law with $6 million in fines. She's going to examine the shocking double standard next.
The Clinton machine just got caught red-handed. ADC court ruled Hillary's 2016 campaign violated federal law to the tune of $6 million. That's 45 times bigger than Trump's so-called $130,000 violation. While the left's been obsessing over Trump's legal fees, Hillary's been playing fast and loose with campaign finance laws. Her super PAC, Correct the Record, coordinated millions in spending without proper disclosure. Talk about cooking the books. Remember when Hillary's camp paid that measly $113,000 fine for hiding Steele dossier payments? Chump change compared to this bombshell. Meanwhile, Trump faces jail time for perfectly legal business expenses. The double standard is mind-blowing. Wake up, America. This two-tier justice system is rotten to the core. Hillary skates while Trump gets railroaded. It's time to drain the swamp once and for all. Don't miss Gary's ebook, The Silent Coup, link in the bio. That is all the news we have for you tonight. Now Gary will make your voice heard in the comments section.
Welcome to the comment section where we hear from you, the American people. Tonight's comments come from our video, Biden's Big Boy Blunder Shocks Nation as Press Conference Spirals into Chaos. So let's dive right in. Our first comment comes from Jim Fowler, who says, "What an absolute embarrassment. Joe and the Democrats gotta go." Well, you know what, Jim? You're right. This administration isn't just an embarrassment, it's a full-blown disaster. Biden's fumbling and bumbling isn't just cringeworthy, it's dangerous for our country. The Democrats have had their chance and they've blown it. Big time. It is time for change, folks. Next up, we have Joe Carroll Dodds, who tells us this is the worst train wreck I've ever seen, but I'm going to vote in person on November 5th for Trump for the third time. Joe, you're spot on. This isn't just a train wreck. It is a full-scale derailment of our republic. And good for you getting out there to vote in person. That's how we take back our country, one ballot at a time. Keep fighting the good fight. Next up, we have Captain Kirk. who chimes in with cognitive decline, dementia, whatever. He's still smarter than Kamala. Ooh, now that is a low bar, Captain. When your best defense is, at least he's not as bad as his VP, you know that we are in trouble. This is the leadership of the free world we're talking about. Not a race to the bottom. We deserve better, America. Tony K. doesn't mince words. All of Brandon's cabinet need to go to prison. Strong words, Tony, but can you blame him? This administration has been one scandal after another. The American people are fed up with the corruption, the cover-ups, the blatant disregard for law and order. It is time for some accountability in Washington. And finally, Captain Morgan, another captain, summing it up. The more they try to show the world that Biden is fit, the worse it gets. It was sad, but now it's getting hilarious. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself, Captain. The White House attempts to prop up Biden. They're all backfiring spectacularly. It'd be comedy gold if it weren't so terrifying. This is not a sitcom, my friends. It's the real world, and we are all paying the price for this circus. That's all for tonight's comment section. Remember, your voice matters. Keep speaking up, America. We are listening, and maybe next time your comment will make the cut. It is time for our Looking at You segment, where we shine a light on the movers and shakers making waves in our republic tonight. We're focusing on Donald Trump Jr., who's rallying the troops for a crucial mission. Let's dive right in. Watch.
We can't risk anything. You can be a part of the team that's putting a stop to crooked Joe Biden and the far-left Democrats. Trump Force 47 is the most sophisticated ground game ever put together by Republicans, and it's already having an impact on this election. Last time, the Democrats used every trick in the book to steal the election. This time, we are making it too big to rig. We are going to break and beat the margin of fraud to win. My father needs your help to get it done. Your small-time commitments will have a huge impact on the election in November. You can become a Trump Force 47 captain and organize your neighborhood by connecting with voters that live near you. Every vote counts. We can't take anything for granted. We have to get involved. So go to TrumpForce47.com, TrumpForce47.com to join the team. Stop Joe Biden and his woke cronies from destroying this incredible nation.
That's right, folks. Don Jr. is calling on patriots to step up and become Trump Force captains. This isn't your run-of-the-mill campaign volunteer gig. We're talking about a cutting-edge ground game that's already shaking things up. Now, let's get real for a second. We all remember what went down in 2020. The Democrats pulled every trick they could to tip the scales. But this time, Trump Jr. says they're making it too big to rig. They're not just playing defense. They are going on the offensive. So here's the deal. These Trump Force captains will get top-notch training, rally voters in their neighborhood, and make a real impact without breaking the bank or burning the clock. It is about working smarter, not harder. Don Jr. is direct and clear. He's calling out Crooked Joe and his far-left pals for what they're doing to our country. And he's not wrong. We've all seen the mess that they've made. But here's why this matters to you, the American people. This isn't just one election. It's about the future of our republic. It's about standing up to the woke mob that's trying to rewrite our history and our values. It's about protecting the American dream for our kids and our grandkids. By becoming a Trump Force captain, you're not just supporting a candidate. You're joining a movement to save our nation from those who want to tear it down. Every vote counts, and every captain could be the difference between victory and defeat. So if you're tired of sitting on the sidelines, if you're ready to make your voice heard, head over to TrumpForce47.com. It's time to show the left that we won't go down without a fight. Our republic is counting on you. All right, folks, let's wrap this up tonight. We've seen a presidency in free fall. Biden's NATO disaster wasn't just embarrassing, it was dangerous. We're watching our leader, a guy with the nuclear codes, forget basic facts on the world stage. And the Democrats, well, they are running scared, freezing donations faster than you can say cognitive test. But here's the kicker. Some polls still have Biden in the lead. It's like we're living in the upside down world. The same folks who can't fill a high school gym, somehow leading in the polls. Come on. Let's not forget Alec Baldwin walking free. It's a reminder that in America today, celebrities play by different rules. So here's the bottom line. These stories matter because they're about our future. It's about who's really calling the shots in Washington and whether we still have a say in our own country. We are at a crossroads, folks. The America that we know and we love is hanging by a thread. But remember, we have faced tough times before. We can turn this ship around. It starts with staying informed, speaking up, and never backing down. That's what we do here every night. And that's what you need to do every day. All right, that's our show for tonight. Thanks to Angie for keeping us up to speed with those news briefs. And thank you all, a big thank you, for staying up late, tuning in, and lighting up that live chat. Your voices matter, and that's why we're here. So let's get real. This show, this network, we are in a fight for survival. For over a decade, we have been bringing you the truth that others will not touch. But the powers that be, they're not fans of what we do. YouTube kicked us to the curb, demonetized us after over 10 years. Other platforms like Rumble, slamming doors in our faces. But here's the thing, we're not backing down. This isn't just about keeping a news show on the air. It's about keeping America informed. It's about fighting for the soul of our nation. My friends, we need your help. Whether it's a few bucks or just spreading the word, every bit counts. Now, we're not asking for handouts. We are asking you to invest in the truth. In these times, that is more valuable than gold. So check the links below to support us. Remember, when you back us, you are backing America. So let's keep this fight going together. We'll see you next time. Same place, same time. Stay sharp, stay informed, and keep fighting the good fight. And remember, on Monday night, where you can find me, I will be at the RNC Night 1 after party with Milk and Cook. So I don't think we'll be having a live stream that night, but we certainly will be live. I hope to see you there. Have a great weekend, and good night.